Okay, we've had several people enter our group today. We're glad to have you here today. And my name is Dr. Carla Gull. I'm on the steering committee of Indiana Children Nature Network. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes to start right around 8 p.m. And we've got several guests here to share some of their experiences in the outdoors as well. If you'd like to, you're welcome to go ahead and put like where you're from in the chat room. I'm in the northern part of the state, up in Goshen, Indiana. And yeah, it's kind of neat to see where people are across the state. And we've got wonderful resources everywhere. So Carmel, that's a wonderful place to be. Lots of parks and such in that area, it seems like, that are really neat to explore. Noblesville, yeah. You pick kind of places out there too, and ooh, all kinds of, and you have access to so many different things in that area as well. Westfield, oh neat, yeah. Lots of people in kind of central Indiana, it seems like. Lebanon, Plymouth, Minnesota. Welcome, Tiffany. You get like the award for coming from farthest away. In Westfield, is that someone you work with? Teresa. Hello, how are you doing? We're glad to have everyone here. And let's see. Okay. I think that it's 8 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. So what we wanted to do tonight is just kind of bring together different people to talk about a winter wonderland, enjoying winter with children. And this is sponsored by the Indiana Children Nature Network. And this is kind of what we're looking at doing today. Have an introduction to ICANN, look at 52 things to do outside in winter, 1,000 hours outside, one initiative or program that some people are using, Nature's Point Preschool, Cooperative Preschool, and then Loose Parts Nature Play, Tinkergarten, some winter books and questions and answers. You are welcome to use the chat feature throughout the presentation and go ahead and ask questions or share additional tips or resources. I know that like we're not the only ones that have found a way for us to get outside. We know that you all have a lot of experience and such too. So we welcome your tips and things of that sort as well. So Indiana Children in Nature Network, ICANN, we are on Facebook. You're welcome to like and follow us there. But this is part of the Environmental Educators Association of Indiana. And we kind of look at state-specific resources to help get children outside. One of the major projects that we do is Nature Play Days. Those are in June all across the state. You're welcome to participate them or host them even. So we'd love for you to do that as well. And then also I Can Play 30, so taking a pledge to get outside regularly. So the mission really is to foster that connection with children, families, and the community. We really look at the benefits of time outside and building that lifelong interest in nature as well. And then we do that by raising awareness of the many benefits, promoting unstructured play and time outdoors, and engaging a diverse network of people in facilitating collaboration. And that's really where we're at right now. We're trying to get more people involved in seeing part of this mission and vision, and trying to network and connect with people in different ways. So trying out a webinar like this evening too. So 52 things out to do outside. There is a website for this. It's called 52thingsoutside.org. And for each season, there are activities on the website with additional information and book lists and things like that. And these were just some activities that environmental educators up in the northern part of the state pulled together for winter time. And so you can go to that website and find additional information, but just catching a snowflake. And we've had opportunities for that recently, and hunting for animal tracks. And I think we're going to see some pictures of families doing some of these same things, go sledding or skating, touching tree bark, that sensory feeling of that is so wonderful. Building a snow sculpture and all different ways of doing that, feeding the birds, discovering an animal's nest. I love winter for that reason, because it's easier to see and find all the different things. Write your names with sticks and photograph a sunrise, and design a recycled art project that could be inside or outside. So a few different options with that. Another initiative that was started by someone in Michigan, actually, just over the state line, is 1,000 hours outside. And the website's listed here. And there's also a state-specific Facebook group, 1,000 Hours Outside Indiana. And we're going to talk to a few parents that have been highly involved in the 1,000 Hours Outside movement within their families this last year. And did just kind of want to mention, we've got some pictures here. They have a starter kit that's free and you can download it. And it's got so many great resources and options of prompts to get outside for the rest of the year. So if you need some ideas, this download that they have, which is totally free, has a lot of resources and such with that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Megan to share some of her tips and expertise with this.
Hi, my name is Megan. I just popped into the chat that starter kit. So, and you can download it right from there. And it does say to make sure when you download it and print it, you do like the fit to page or scale to size to print it so it doesn't chop off some of it. And I'll also throw the website in there that has different trackers and stuff. So last year in January, a couple days in, my friend said, hey, I just heard about this like 1,000 hours challenge. Do you want to try this with me? She's got kids about the same age. Mine are 2.5 and 4.5 now. So they were 1.5 and 3.5. And I was like, yeah, we go outside a lot. Like, let's try it out. It'll be interesting to see, you know, how many hours we get. That'll be cool. So January of last year, we had about 17 hours. This January, we're already up to 27. So I'm excited to see kind of comparing one year to the next. But winter is sometimes challenging to get outside. Some of the things I found that really help with my kiddos, especially at this age, are layers of clothing for both them and myself, because nobody wants to be cold out there or wet. So as you can see in the middle, that's my 2.5-year-old. So we do one-piece snowsuits. He has a Walmart one on that I got like clearance end of the season for like $5. It's working fine. The 5-year-old or 4.5-year-old's one is hanging behind him. I ordered that this year because we didn't have one, but I figured I'll get a couple of years out of it with the little one coming up. That's been really helpful because, you know, the older one can get it on himself, get dressed and good to go. 2.5-year-old's on his way to doing that himself, but that one-piece suit, just they're not getting snow down their backs and stuff's not moving. So for those ages, that's really been helpful. For gloves, I've been layering up and doing little thin gloves underneath the normal gloves. Again, then if something goes through the one layer, they've still got, you know, they're warm underneath. That's been pushing us a little bit longer, giving us some more time before they're getting cold and wanting to come in. The hat he has on are actually from the 1,000 Hours Outside. They have a little store, but I'm sure you can get them other places. Has a little LED light in it. I have it right here. I don't know if you can see me too, but it actually pops out and you charge it via a USB port, and then you can pop it back in to wash the hat and stuff. But really nice and very bright. Like it has 3 different settings of brightness. So we've gone out in the morning or in the night. And that's what you can see. That was our 7 a.m. Trip outside the other morning. It only lasted about 20 minutes, but they wanted to get out and they were using their lights to check out things. So those have been really neat and just kind of push that time, especially when in the winter it's, you know, dark by 5:30 and you're like, oh, so we've been heading out after dinner, and throw on your light hats. We also put up Christmas lights, like I'm sure a bunch of you did, but have left those out in the backyard and have some lights on the swing set that make it just a little bit more exciting to be out there too. Back to some of the clothing. I also have, I could never figure out how to say this. I Googled it today, balaclavas. So it almost looks like baklava, but you try it if you find it, but it's like, we call them the ninja hats, but they go all the way over. It covers their, it can cover their mouth too, but then they're not getting snow down the top of them too, because you know how they play and when they sled and do all that stuff. So that has been really nice, especially when it's windier. We found those super helpful. So we go back and forth between those and the lighted hats. And then just some of the things, so like in these pictures, it's kind of hard to tell, but I think I have another, I don't know if I have another picture too, but we filled up spray bottles with food coloring and water. We've been taking those outside and they have been spraying the ground in random places, spraying different things, and that's been really fun. So little stuff like that. I mean, you can do that in normal weather, but the snow makes it obviously more exciting. I have some waterproof gloves. I have Rima brand ones, and they're like higher and longer, so it covers up their arms a little bit more, but so that they're not staining their normal gloves with food coloring. But they have really liked to do that. And then the 4-year-old can squeeze it normally, but the 2.5-year-old's using 2 different hands in between the gloves, but all of that fine motor and stuff too is really good for them, and it's exciting. We also just do, normal outside stuff. They go sledding. We have been playing we live right near a school, and the parking lot on the weekends and stuff is empty. We've been playing in the snow piles in the parking lot. And we went there one day, half an hour. They didn't say a word, and they ran over and under and around and all over the place. And I was like, we are coming back here. And then we went to a couple nature preserves and just climbing through the trees. So we kind of do a mix in the winter of stuff we do normally. It's like today they played on the swing set and went down the slide. So stuff we do in all weather. And then, some of those winter specific things. We got a fire pit this year. So that would help keep us a little bit warmer outside. So a fire we could kind of make quickly. I got a solo.
I can't hear you all of a sudden, Megan. I'm not sure if other people are having issues. Are you still there? Can't hear? Okay.
Is it back?
Yes.
Sorry. That's my computer. We got a solo stove. They are a bit pricey, but it's been nice to be contained, especially with the little kids. I don't feel like just to have the fire contained has been nice. But that has extended some of our time in the evenings outside just to keep a little bit more warm. So yeah, so like I said, we do a lot of just the normal stuff. They play with their sand toys outside. They are playing with dump trucks and construction vehicles today. So the stuff that we have out throughout the year is just different in the winter because of the snow or because of the landscape that we have. So we're really enjoying, our time being outside and trying out new things, and then also some of those same things just in different temperatures.
Thank you so much, Megan. I found lots of tips with that too. And we have a couple of lights like that, but even just leaving your Christmas lights out longer to have a little ambiance outside to be able to use the outdoor space. And we sometimes will bring like lanterns and have a special lantern thing. And I'm wondering if I know where those trees are. Is that my special spot?
It is not.
Oh, okay. There are a lot of trees down there too. But,
yes, there are.
Cool. Okay, our next person is up, and I forget exactly if it's Tiffany. Thank you.
It's me. Yep. So hi, I'm Stephanie Lambert. I live in Carmel, Indiana, and I have 2 children, ages 2.5 and almost 6. We started the 1,000-hour challenge last January, so January 2021 to December 2021, and we made it just over 1,000 hours into December. So some things that I think struck me about just the tips I've learned for going outside, especially in the colder months. I think it's just really to be flexible and be open to kind of new experiences, really, and just, let your children kind of come up with those ideas. So, I've tried to say yes more than I've said no, because it gives them a new experience and empowers them to feel independent when we're going outside. So, whether that's, I want to sit here and play with chunks of ice in the driveway, or, I want to get the soccer net out, even though that's something we would normally do in the warmer months. Like, why not? These pictures are of us in our driveway just in the last couple of weeks. Now, unfortunately, in central Indiana, we have not had nearly the amount of snow as everyone else. So we're kind of lacking in the snow play this season. But I will say that, just being open to doing different things in the winter months. I mean, even last year, I remember us going to the park in the cold winter months and being the only people at the park. Thankfully, Carmel Clay Parks and Rec has amazing parks locally, and a lot of them are safe in the winter months. And so I found that, you can walk the trails or, even play on the playground, and it's still a ton of fun. And so it seems unusual to be the only people there, but that's the kind of thing where just being open to doing those things and saying yes more than you're saying no, I think gives the kids an opportunity to have a new experience, especially at a place they're already familiar with. Um, Something we were chatting about before the call was just how you can play at home. And so the picture on the left is from about New Year's this year. We got one little dusting of snow, so they were very excited to go out for that. Just like Megan was mentioning, lots of layers, of course, and you want nice layers too. You don't just want lots of like cottony type things that are going to soak up the sweat, because that's going to make them even more cold. So water wicking materials can be really useful. So my son is wearing, just regular old rain boots, and those have worked for him so far. But, picking up things at thrift shops or garage sales, if you see them as kids are outgrowing them, buy, selling, trading, Facebook Marketplace, moms groups, parents groups, whatever that looks like. It's a great way to just get new things for them. And I always like to have backups. So I'm keeping stuff, especially in the winter, I'm keeping stuff by our door outside, and then I'm keeping stuff in the car. So that way we're ready to play at a moment's notice. So keeping that flexibility built into our schedule to allow for us to go and have nature play experience when we've got extra gear in the car, allows us to go do those things and have fun and still kind of get outside, whenever we feel like it, without having to necessarily plan it into our schedule. I would say one of the most effective things was probably getting a friend to do the challenge with. So like Megan said, someone told her. And so I think it just takes that word of mouth. If you keep telling people about that challenge and you have a like-minded friend that's willing to go outside in the cold weather with you, I think that really helps. And so there was a couple of friends I had internationally doing the challenge in much nicer climates, but also domestically here in the United States, where we had all 4 seasons, and everybody was doing the same thing. And that just made you feel like you were all part of kind of a shared goal. So we definitely learned a lot through the 1,000 hours outside in general. And just having that shared experience with the kids is giving them a lot to look forward to each season. So we've really enjoyed how that keeps building on itself each year. So going into that now for the 2nd year, they're even more excited.
Thank you so much. I've also found that meeting up with someone else, my kids are always a lot more willing to go outside if they're meeting friends. It makes a huge difference. And it normalizes being outside and playing, I think. And yeah, I love the picture of the bubble in front of your son's face. I think that's wonderful. So
yeah,
thanks so
Thank
much. You. Okay. Let's see, we've got one more parent sharing with us. Tiffany, you might still be muted.
There we go.
Okay.
So if you go back to those other pictures that you just had, those were also my kids.
Oh, sorry.
There they are. It's my house. I am Tiffany, and I'm a children's pastor in Lebanon, Indiana, and I'm a homeschool mom to my 6 and 7-year-olds. And I want to say that Steph was just talking about how she's the one, like, people will call up and be like, "Hey, it's cold out. You want to hang out?" I literally had someone call me at 7:30 one morning being like, "Hey, we're getting ready to go on a road trip and I want to get my kids' energy out. Are you guys willing to go on an adventure real quick?" And I'm like, absolutely. So we are those people who will go out and not be scared of everything. But yes, we do the 1,000-hour challenge outside. And we started as soon as the pandemic hit because we thought it'd be good to be outside and get some fresh air. And this last year in 2021, we hit 1,570 hours outside. And believe it or not, most of those were in the cold months. Most of those hours were in the cold months because my kids thrive in the cold. And it's actually more of a pain to try to get them out in the warm months, believe it or not. But I would say, in addition to what the other ladies have shared, is if you are willing to do the work, then it's going to be great. Now, it is not my preference to get my kids all bundled up and then have the mess afterwards of the messy or the really wet clothes and have to deal with all that. But if you're willing to do the work, then there's a lot of really fun activities and adventures that you can go on. And also, if you're willing to do the work, then do risky play. Because if you're letting them get on the ice, like talk about it first, like, hey, we're creek stomping, only it's frozen. Now it could be thin ice. Like talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you could fall in. Obviously, they're not going to fall in deep. But what does that mean? I'm going to get cold and wet. Sure. But now if you're willing to do that, just remember you're going to get cold and wet, and let's just have a great time. And so do the risky play, especially in the winter. Having the right gear, like the ladies talked about, is really important. Spend a little more on the gear. Also, what I do is I buy things a little extra big. That way I can use it for 2 seasons. And I also buy it in black. So that way my daughter and my son can share it. So that way he's not going around wearing a pink coat. And then we also wear wool socks on, like, inside of our rain boots. And it's just really great. Also, do the same activities all year long. If you're used to going to the park and creek stopping, do those things in the winter, because it's just really fun to see those things in any season. Also, we love visiting places that most people wouldn't dream of going unless it was warmer, like the zoo. Like, we just love going to the Indianapolis Zoo and literally we've gone 3 times in the last 2 weeks and haven't seen a soul. And it's just sad for the animals, but great for us. It's so good for us. But any activity that you can do indoors, you can also do outdoors, like get your scooters out. You can paint outside. Like, that's my daughter painting outside just before Christmas. And, go to playgrounds, go on walks. Also, this picture on the right is at our farm. And the kids like to be Zambonis. So they're clearing the ice in that picture. They like to be Zambonis. But also invest in some hiking backpacks. My kids have these little hiking backpacks. And they're perfect. They're great. There's our 1,000 hours button. But get some hiking backpacks and fill them with all kinds of snacks and things. And that way they can carry their things as you go on adventures. And one of the things that we love that we invested in this year are some stainless steel coffee mugs that are like 8 ounces, and they can clip onto the kids' backpacks because the handle of the mug is actually a clip. And so I will take a thermos of hot chocolate, and then we can sit and we can enjoy some hot chocolate together. Also, my kids love making walking sticks. And so I always make sure I have some yarn or some chunky paint sticks, like the tempera paint sticks, and they can decorate a walking stick every time that we go on an adventure. We have so many walking sticks in our shed. It's ridiculous. Also, we make sure that we invest in headlamps. So that way they can go outside in the evening or in the morning while it's still dark in the winter, and they love that. And one thing that we also really love is we bought some ice ball molds that you would use for like drinks in your own home, and they're little spheres. And so we add some food coloring to them, and they love to use those for bowling outside or for whatever. So we love ice ball molds. And also what's really fun is we have a sound activated party disco light that's $12.99 on Amazon, and plug that in outside. If you have an outlet outside in the dark, it is so fun. Like, go and invest in one of those. It is so fun. Also, make a fire and use the spray bottles. And we do not shy away from mud in our home. I just let them get muddy. And do I prefer that? Absolutely not. But they would never know that, because I'm just a champion of them just enjoying childhood and getting their fingers muddy. And I don't know if I sent a picture of that or not, but they just love being covered in mud. And yeah, let them climb and hang on things, and adapt your yard to whatever size you have. Like, it's totally fine. Put some lumber out, some extra lumber, cars, buckets, put a string on them and make it a bucket pulley. Fill mud kitchen stations, like the dishes, and let them freeze overnight. Then let them have some ice play. We love to feed the birds and the squirrels in the winter, and we love to sidewalk chalk our fence. Also invest in some hammocks or a pop-up tent, because those are just fun and new and exciting, especially in the winter. And invest in a state park pass. Indiana has so many great state parks. One of our favorites is Prophetstown, Shades, and Turkey Run. So many great state parks in Indiana. Make sure to pack your protein snacks. And also, what I keep in my hiking backpack is I keep a small first aid kit and an ice pack, like one of those that you can like break and it'll get cold. I also keep bee sting balm and Kleenex. So make sure you have some really good shoes for everybody. And what I always make sure I do is I kind of go back to my toddler days when had to have extra clothes in my car because of potty training. And I just always have extra clothes in the car, just always on hand. And that's just always really good. But we also love to go where there is no playground. And there's a really great city park here in Lebanon. If you guys are in the area, it's called Brookshire Park, and it is run by the city, but it's literally just 10 acres of woods and these amazing dirt piles. And really nobody in Lebanon knows about it. It's just a hidden gem. So you guys get to know about that hidden gem. It's amazing. It's just right off of 65 and 32. So it's amazing. Also, just make sure you're talking positive about the weather. My kids do not hear me say, it's really cold out or it's icky. Like, I try to do my best to watch my communication to them, and I'll say, it's cold and sunny, or yeah, it's cold and cloudy today. Like, I just say what it is. I don't put an adjective with it. I don't say, oh, it's a really nice hot day out, because then they're going to think, oh, summer's nice and hot. And so what's winter? It's not nice. So anyway, I just kind of watch my communication. But then also I just make sure that I get out with them. And if I have to start some fun and find the beauty in things, then I will come up with a creative activity, play chase or just get the laughter going. But otherwise, they just love being outside. And there's 2 resources that we really love. And that is following Little Pine Learners on Instagram or on Facebook. They just have some really great ideas for being outside and for kids of all ages. Then also Treehouse Schoolhouse has really great nature studies. And those are some things I really love in our home. But yeah, we love being outside. So if anyone wants to connect more and you have little ones, mine again are 6 and 7, we do not shy away from outdoor adventures in the winter.
I love it. Thank you so much. You all are each sharing different perspectives and different ways of doing things. Like, some of the parents here are like, no mud, we're not doing that, which is totally fine. Another embrace the mud, and there's a million different ways to connect outside. And you mentioned the hiking backpacks for each of the kids. We scored like a brand new, good quality one for like $3 at a garage sale. I'm not a garage sale, like a thrift store not too long ago. So, there are things out there and stuff when we want it. Thank you. I've really enjoyed learning more about 1,000 hours outside. And all of these families made 1,000 hours outside last year. I don't know if they thought about it. I mean, they were intentional and kind of made a goal. But as a friend of mine says often, even if you don't make it to 1,000 hours, you still win, because you've spent more time outside than you might have otherwise. And so, yeah, I know some people that set a goal for 500, or just more intentional and use resources and inspiration from the 1,000 hours outside program. But it could be a goal for a family, but it could also just be inspiration, and you don't track the hours. Lots of times I haven't tracked the hours. So yeah. Okay, we've got Nature's Point Cooperative Preschool. You can see the website here for them. This is in Noblesville, and we're going to listen to Teresa Hinkle, which is one of the lead teachers there. I've known her for a while, and she does amazing things. And we'll go ahead and let her talk.
Hello. I want to let you guys know a little bit about our program, just so that you're aware of why I'm here, I guess. Our school is Nature's Point Cooperative Preschool, and our school's main focus is how to help children get connected with nature. And so it's been our goal for a long time to have the children involved in nature inside as well as outside. Our school had been a half and half, or at least partially inside and using a lot of outside time as well. But when the pandemic hit, we chose to go 100% outside and not in the classroom. Now we're starting to transition back to using our indoor space as well as our outdoor space. But that has not hindered us at all in being part of a wonderful experience being outside. We have been able to put outdoor heaters, propane heaters that we use to keep the children from getting cold on the less cold days. We are outside. The only time we do not go outside at our school is if there's lightning. We go out when it's raining. We go out when it's negative degrees. Obviously, we have to be concerned about the negative degrees, like the last couple of days, but we have still gone out, even if it's only been a portion of the time. Carla, you can go ahead and go to the next one. As everybody has indicated, go back. As everybody's indicated, dressing appropriately. Our families, our parents are being a cooperative. Our parents are heavily involved in the running of the school, and they are our assistant teachers. There's five paid staff now, and we all of our children graduated from the school also, but the parents are very heavily involved. And so not only do the children have to learn to dress in layers, the parents do as well. As mentioned, we encourage our parents to have the children wear wool socks and good quality boots and layer, base layer being a very tight layer, and then clothing over that as well. So I won't keep on that, but that makes a huge difference in how successful you are. One of our children's favorite things to do is run out to the playground and see where they can find ice. The little boy on the far left, whose mom happens to be here, he found ice in the tires. And he was so excited. And he's like, it looks like a rainbow. They love finding ice on the slide that they can crush. You'll see on the very far, it's kind of hard to see, the pictures partly off my screen, but the children found that the sand buckets had the sand that was in the bucket, the 5-gallon bucket, had frozen. And so they took the shovels, and these are very high quality shovels that I'm not sure where I purchased, either Discount School Supplies or Kaplan. They're very thick, durable shovels, and they were like pounding and pounding and pounding to try to get that block of sand out of that bucket. So even having buckets that have interesting things in it that they can discover out in your out in your yard can lead to some a good invitation for them to explore and play. They did end up eventually getting that big block of sand out of that bucket, and then proceeded to crush it even more. You can go ahead and go on, Carla. We took our families had donated. We had done a fundraiser of Christmas wreaths and winter swags. And I told the parents, I said, don't throw them out when you're done with them, bring them to the school. And we froze them in one of our bucket. We filled up the bucket with water and froze it. It took a couple days for it to freeze. So they went out every day looking to see did it freeze. And then when it froze, they discovered that it only froze on the top layer. The bottom didn't freeze. And so there was still water in the bottom. But here you can see one of the children picking up that big chunk. And then over to the right, the little boy with the pan, he was crushing the ice to get to the stuff in the loose parts in the bottom. So that breaking ice has been the big famous thing to do recently, especially since we really haven't had a lot of snow. Here's another example of some ice breaking exploration. The one on the left, they're using a brick. Yes, we do allow the children to play with bricks. That risky play, they often will build with them, and as you can see, crush ice. And then obviously the good old throwing the ice works as well. We came out one morning and discovered that we'll see later a picture of our mud kitchen. We have these bowls, the metal bowls that you use for mixing, and there was water that had gotten left, and they froze in these beautiful dome-shaped ice. And so we put them out along with some paint and let the children paint. Then the paint would get rained on, and then it would wash off, and then they would repaint them. So these lasted until it warmed up. Like a couple weeks ago, when it warmed up, they melted. But we painted on them with regular paint, with watercolor paint, liquid watercolor, so you can paint on them with lots of different things. On the right hand side, you'll see the bin, and it has frozen water beads. So you can take your water beads and you can put them outside. Water beads are those absorbent beads that you can put in flower vases, for anybody who might not know. And we had just purchased a whole bunch on Amazon and put them in there, and then they froze. And so again, it was a great opportunity for them to try to break them up and see if they could get to the beads. And there's, I think, ice cubes also, colored ice cubes thrown in there as well. You can go on, Carla. The picture on the left, one of our teachers took ice cube trays and put magnet balls in them, and then froze them, and then put the magnet wands out. And another great discovery. You could do that very simply, even at home. And it was fun to try to see the children try to get those magnets out. That one big chunk of ice that was on the right hand side, again, was from our sensory bin. And you can see where they had taken little eyedroppers of water and dropped into the ice. Okay, go ahead, Carla. On the left-hand side, you'll see another one of our sensory bins where a teacher, she just put a big regular bag of ice. And then she took and froze letters in a letter tray, a letter ice cube tray, and put in the sensory bin. And so that you can see on the right, one of the children made his name using he found all the letters in his name and pulled those out. So, and you'll see that in that tray. Go ahead, back up, Carla, I'm sorry. And you'll see we use tongs. We use kitchen tongs all the time outside. Kitchen tongs, tweezers. For what I like to do is I like to transition them from the tongs to tweezers, because it's a different type of grasp. So go ahead. The picture on the left, I think it was Tiffany, you had mentioned buying trays that made cubes. Well, these were just water balloons that I had put food coloring in and filled up, and I put them in a 5-gallon bucket and set them outside, and they did not freeze, even though it was negative degrees. So we discovered that, we're gonna have to lay them out and then they'll freeze. And then the water balloon comes off really easily, because it's, you can just peel it off. And then they make these beautiful, the kids were calling them dinosaur eggs. And then I took out little flashlights, and these flashlights are awesome. I ordered them on Amazon, and they just have a button on the top, so they're super easy for the children to click on. And they were looking at the ice crystals inside of the dinosaur egg, and they were saying, there's spiders in there. And so they were really curious, like how the spiders got in there. And then we talked about the fact that those are crystals, that's the way the cube, the ice thaws. And these will probably be, if they're not broken apart and thrown now from the next class using them, they will probably get thrown at some point and broken, because that is what you do with ice.
Destructive play is great.
Yes, and they do love to do that. I have a large group of boys this year, and that is really what they like to do. You'll see on the left, this was actually a picture from last year, so you'll see there's lots of snow. We haven't had that much snow in central Indiana yet this year, but we just took out hammers, talking about destructive, and we do let the children use real hammers. You'll see he has goggles on with the hammer. So he put goggles on it and he was breaking the ice with the goggles. We have this wonderful plexiglass art easel, and you'll see that on the left or on the right. We have this wonderful plexiglass art easel, and we came out one morning and it was all frosty. So all we did is put out paint, and they paint right on that frost easel, just made a different layer. So you could do that very easily with putting out plexiglass outside and just letting it frost over. Go ahead, Carla. On the left, that's actually my daughter, my 13-year-old, when she was 4. And this is the year of the Olympics, the Winter Olympics. So we were doing a lot of things around the Olympics. Now this happens to be inside, but this is definitely an activity that can be done outside. And you'll just see it's just one of those throwaway aluminum pans that we put the Olympic symbol in the bottom and water on top, and they froze it. And she just has some people that she was skating around. She was ice skating. And then we were able to do the ice skating outside as well. But that's just something that's very easy to do as a way to we find, especially with the Winter Olympics, it's a great opportunity to get them involved in wanting to be outside, to explore what it is about the Winter Olympians, why they like the outdoors. On the right hand side, you'll see a little boy pouring water in an aluminum pan, and it's hard to see what he has, but there is yarn, and he has put in loose parts, nature loose parts, and you put those in there with some yarn looped, and then they freeze, and then you're able to break those out and hang in the trees. So they make little ornaments, winter ornaments. We love snow, and obviously again, this is last year or the year before. On the left hand side, we have this huge hill in the back of our playground, and we just love sliding down that hill. On the right, they had built a snowman, and we took out spray bottles of colored spray. So if you get the opportunity to build an igloo or a snowman or be out in the snow, as was mentioned earlier, spray bottle with colored water is awesome.
Thank you so much, Teresa. You just are a wealth of ideas, and I'm seeing comments, oh, we're going to try this at our next program and such. So that's really cool. Oh, I didn't put everything in order, it looks like.
Yeah, there's lots more pictures. We love going on scavenger hunts.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put those in the right order.
All right. This is our mud kitchen. I did have the parents bring in like expired herbs and spices. That's a great way to put them in your mud kitchen and let the kids go at it.
Oh yeah, look at all that.
Talk about mess, Stephanie, you wouldn't like that.
And that's okay.
Yep. That's a story walk.
Oh, okay. And there are more and more parks that have story walks. And yeah, it just is another element when we go out and find places to explore. So, and yes, thank you for sliding in and sharing some fun. Appreciate that. Okay. I also just wanted to talk about a little bit of stuff that I do. I have a podcast called Loose Parts Nature Play. I am also co-author of the book Loose Parts Learning in K-3 Classrooms. And with that, I've got a whole podcast about animals in winter, another about getting outside in winter. And for me as a parent, having one of those big blue IKEA bags or something like that with gear in the car so that we could go just right after school or preschool or whatever it may be, sometimes even sleds in the back of it. Ice is a loose part. You've seen lots of examples of that. And I go through some of the safety concerns with that as well. And then also maple sugaring, the things that you need to do just to kind of get started with that. But these are some of the adventures that we've been on in the past. Getting to know our local resources. You can go rent snowshoes a lot of different places. And I took the baby on a carrier in the back while we went snowshoeing, and so getting out even with our little ones can be very doable. Going on tubes going and doing our maple sugaring, going on scavenger hunts, the snow with the paint, bringing snow inside. And like others have mentioned, that big old pile of snow just can be a lot of fun to explore with. And of course, we don't want to do that when they're near to clearing off the roads or anything like that. But otherwise, they can be great adventures. Another thing that I do is kindergarten classes. On their website, they have a whole section with do-it-yourself activities. Do host classes online and then in person, but these online activities are all free. These just idea starters. And so they've got activity sheets for each of these. And these are just a few of the things that they have for winter time. So painting the snow, ice gems, painting the winter sky. You can see the sheet there with all the different colors and such on it. That's a fun one to lead as well. Husky Hall, we did that today, but just transporting heavy things from one place to another, and the winter Wondermobile, and then winter scavenger hunts. So there are a plethora of activities if you need more ideas, not that you probably do, but at the Tinkergarten website with that. And just a few books that I wanted to share. The Story of Snow, I just love that it's got a simple story, but then it's got more scientific details along with it. So it has fantastic pictures of snow, and it is something that I learned about with snow too. Like there was enough information for me to learn and understand new things as well. Another one is Best in Snow. This is by April Policer. She's actually local to Northern Indiana. And so she has written like over 60 books around nature. These are her photographs of different things in snow. So it's real animals. You see the water cycle in it and all kinds of snow, ice, frost, drips of water, all the different ways that snow, water, and animals kind of interact in the winter. Winter Bees and Other Poems of Cold. These are just engaging and fun to read. They've got these lovely illustrations with them. There's glossary if you need additional words, but there's poems around snakes and snowflakes and voles and chickadees and all the kinds of things of what they may be doing in the winter time with that. Winter Dance, I believe. Yes, Winter Dance. So this is animals preparing for winter, maybe gathering nuts, growing fur, etc. Fox is wondering about what he's going to do, and they celebrate the winter snow through dance. And with that, we see how turtles, caterpillars, geese, squirrels, etc. Survive winter. And I love that it's got lots of great verbs in it as well. And Over and Under the Snow, there's actually a whole series of these books for Over and Under the Pond, etc. But I love that they have these little, the illustrations show what's happening underneath the snow as well. So this father and child, they're cross-country skiing above the snow. And then you can see how animals are handling the winter. And that's one thing that we really like to do is understand animals around us. So eating the acorns, the fox pouncing on an animal underneath the snow, the chipmunk asleep all winter long, the bullfrog buried down in the mud. And then they've got, that back matter at the end where they talk about that subnivean snow zone underneath the snow. There's so much happening under the snow that we don't always know about. Stranger in the Woods, I just love this one. Some children build this snowman, and then the animals encounter this stranger in the woods, and they're trying to figure out who it might be. The chickadee lands on the nose, the deer finds a mitten that was lost, and the strangers or the children actually hide nearby, and they're watching them eat all the carrots and the seeds on their snow person. Then they go back and add more to it as well. And The Snowy Day, I love that this one's in an urban setting. So this is a child exploring the first snowfall of the year, dragging their feet, walking with toes pointed out, playing with sticks, making a snow person and snow angels. Just that, playing with snow and just that normal everyday occurrence of that. He saves a snowball for the next day in his pocket, but it's empty, of course. And he returns for more snow play the next day. It's just a classic story. Snowballs is one of my favorite. I do a lot with loose parts. And so her illustrations really illustrate that. Lois Ehlert, she passed away this last year, unfortunately. But in this, a family builds a snow family. They've even got the cat and dog that they make out of snow. And they talk about saving the good stuff. Like you can see the corn kernels and the extra hat and the rocks, all those different kinds of things. So just random things around you that can be used to enhance your snow person. And now after listening to Teresa, I want to bring the spray bottles out on them too. But the snow dads start shrinking in the sun. So we see some of that cause and effect and weather and some of those things. And at the end, there's a whole kind of picture collage of different things that you might collect for sculptures at the end. So these were some things that we wanted to share with you all, but we've loved to see some of the things that you have questions about. I'm going to go ahead and say to save the date, we're going to try to do more webinars like this regularly, and we'll record them and such too. And we're going to go ahead and do one on ICANN Nature Play Days in March. If you're interested in hosting one, this would be some good information. And it can be anyone that hosts a Nature Play Day. And yeah, just want to kind of share that, those June 4th through 12th of 2022. That's a great time to kind of put in your calendar. And there are going to be activities across the state with Indiana Children in Nature Network with that. So yeah, but on March 24th, we'll gather on a webinar again. Watch for the updates and such on the web, the Facebook page. And we do have a list. So you can, on the website, a mailing list, you can sign up to be part of our mailing list as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And I would love to see what kind of questions people have. I think I saw, and anyone can answer these questions. I saw some things around infants and toddlers. Any suggestions or ideas for how to allow infants and toddlers still crawling through the snow of what they might like to do? How to help them with that? Like as I had seen that question earlier, I said maybe putting out a tarp or a, let's see, oh, a tarp or a mat. They
Pull 'em
go
on a
all over
sled.
the-
Put them on a sled and just pull them around your yard or put them in the driveway.
Okay.
It's almost like a, I don't know, self-contained pack and play type scenario. But if you've got one of the longer sleds, not like the disc sleds, they can kind of prop up in there and you can put some toys in there. And as long as they have, you know, something weatherproof on, then they're good to go. My husband's sitting right here and he reminded me of that.
Oh,
We
cool.
did that.
And Heidi's mentioning ice fishing sleds are awesome for that as well. So thank you. And even if we kind of like had an area where we packed the snow down a little bit, that would make it so that it wouldn't be in their faces as much perhaps too. But yeah, great ideas. I know that I, you know, had this special all encompassing, it covered the hands, it covered the feet, all those things that I was worried about. And I used my backpack with my youngest, but I had older kids that I was taking out too, and we were usually on the go a lot. And he took many naps, asleep, standing up in that backpack. So yeah, Stephanie's mentioning shorter increments of time, more frequently, don't expect long times, time periods very young, and work up to more time. That's good advice. Thank you so much. So any other questions that people have? Okay, I would love to hear, and feel free to come up with other questions too, but I'd love to hear what idea that you would like to try from tonight in your setting or your space. Could you can either unmute and share, or you can type it in the chat room, but what's something that you would like to try from our ideas that we've shared this evening? Are you inspired to try 1,000 hours outside or 500? Everyone ready to sign up for preschool with Teresa and Nature's Point Cooperative Preschool? So.
Well, I work at Conner Prairie, and we do some things that are outdoor hiking. So the ideas with ice are very intriguing, and I really want to do something with tracks. So the big thing I'm looking for is to get some good ideas and things people have done using tracks, and how did you incorporate it? Because we've got track books and all kinds of things, but how did we kind of talk about what animal they were and that kind of stuff?
Okay, interesting. So tracks. I find I love snow because it makes it a lot easier to see the tracks. And sometimes we even find like a dead animal or feathers or some of those things outside. And we can try to recreate what happened in this scenario kind of thing. So just following the tracks is one thing that we find fascinating, and then trying to figure out what kind of animal it is. I also have track molds. I do programs and presentations and stuff too, but track molds, and we can go and make our own tracks sometimes with it as well. So different things. Yeah, let me see. Go ahead.
Julie, you may want to check out Cool Creek does a wonderful program with tracks where they have the children, they have molds of different animals, and then they have pictures of the animals, and they talk through how you figure out whose track it is. You know, does it look like more like a dog track? Does it have 3 toes? Is it 2 fingers? And, you know, 2 fingers is a deer. So they have a wonderful track program that they do with children. We take our children almost every year to that program.
You will have some good resources down there, it sounds like. And there is a resource with out of Purdue called The Nature of Teaching. So Common Indiana Mammals, you know about that. And it's got the track, it's got information about the animals, and then like a picture of the skull and some of those kinds of things too. And so
Forgot about that one. Thank you.
I use that a lot just because it has everything kind of right there together for it. Yeah. Oh, and another thing with that is just, you know, like the way it moves. So looking at the stride or pace of how it moves is really kind of telling in what kind of animal. Is it stepping in the same spot another foot was in, you know, like watching some of those patterns and how the tracks are is kind of neat. Just kind of looking at some of these other things. Some people are going to have some Christmas lights in the backyard, some ice balls, and check out some of the books from the library. I'm going to make colored water balloons now for the preschool class tomorrow. Going to use some of the ice play in upcoming homeschool program. Sweet. And like other people at ice play, like it's totally fine just to get like ice out of the freezer too. Like it's really neat to put the fun stuff in it, but ice out of the freezer works too. And I love that a lot of people, you know, it was just the water that was left in the bowl that was outside. So yeah, some people are going to look into 1,000 hours outside, the animal track ID flip cards, easier to use in field guides outside in the cold. Yeah. Decorating using the walking sticks. I love that idea of using the tempera sticks on the wood. I've got some of those as well. So I think that we may be trying that too. Taking up bird watching. We've been loving it too. And painting snowmen. Yeah, that was really cool. And idea of adding in herbs and spices in the mud kitchen. We do that all the time. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I did that with even in the school level, like 3rd graders, we were doing simple machines, and the spice jars have screws on the top. And then there's all kinds of simple machines you can use in the Play-Doh, but they were creating like chicken cordon bleu with spices in the middle and all this kind of stuff with the Play-Doh. Let's see.
Carla, we often in our med kitchen also put scissors and mortar and pestles, because that encourages those fine motor skills. And they love to do it's like a fight to who gets to do the mortar and pestle next.
Yes.
So.
And you really modeled well of how having tools, a variety of tools, and, just kind of around my desk, I do programs back here. I've got the droppers, and I've got number lines and measuring things, and ice cube trays, which can be used for so many things besides ice cubes. There's just having some simple tools, a basket, so many simple tools that we can use just to enhance our time outside.
We spend most of our budget, if you will, on those kinds of things like Dollar Tree and Dollar Tree. Amazon gets a lot of our purchases, and Goodwill, like thrift stores, finding that those kinds of things are always easy to find at thrift stores.
Yeah. And as people downsize and get rid of things and are Marie Kondoing it, I'm like, can I go through that kitchen stuff you're getting rid of? I've gotten so many really big pots and pans that people decide they don't need anymore. Like I may have too many if you're new some. Yeah. So yeah, I get a lot of things there. Oh yeah, plaster tracks. Be careful. Hardening plaster creates heat and can be dangerous. Yeah. I've usually just done that with small groups. The colored ice cubes, some resources. Thank you, Heidi, with the resources you shared, and Sarah as well. And winter nature scavenger hunts are good to do. Yeah. And great ideas. Muffin tins. Yeah. We love all these things. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. If you have suggestions or ideas of something that you would like to see featured as part of a webinar in the future, feel free to reach out to me, insideoutsidemichiana at gmail.com, or our ICANN email address, which I don't know, but it's on the website. And you can also put it in the chat room, or just tell us now, hey, this would be a good idea for a webinar. This is something that would be helpful for people in the state and such as well. So any final thoughts? Okay, so this is totally dorky, but I always do this with groups. I always make them put their hands down low and bring them up and say, I love whatever we're talking about that day. So can we say, I love, should we say Winter Wonderlands? Does that sound good? Okay. You can unmute too, even if you want to. Okay, hands down, and then I love Winter Wonderland. Have fun getting outside, and thank you so much.
Bye.
And a special thank you to the people that shared pictures and presented for us tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks again, Megan and Teresa. We really appreciate it. This has been great. And yeah, wealth of information. And Teresa, I think we need to do this for the Loose Parts Play Group, maybe too, for your all your ice ideas and outdoor things. So
No
I'll
problem.
chat with you.
No
Yeah,
problem.
those are some nice pictures. Those are some just, yeah, simple but good stuff. So
And Megan, they've been doing a lot of cool stuff at their preschool as they've moved to more nature type things.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so as you figure out your next steps.
Full page of notes myself. So
I did not have paper with me, so I'm like typing on my phone.
I know.
Notes, it's like long. So,
I'm gonna have to rewatch the webinar because I didn't have any paper to write down all these little, places and resources and ideas. Like, yes, it was wonderful.
I thought, oh, maybe we should like take some of the sections out and like do a social media post or something with it, because each person, even just those hats with the lights on them, I don't know why.
I love those.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to find those.
Yes. Yeah.
I've seen it at like Costco and stuff before too.
I'm sure you can. Yeah. They were like $15 on like the 1,000 Hours website. So I don't know where she gets them from for that, but
Yeah, and that's a good price. So,
yeah.
I'm never afraid to Amazon. Look at Amazon. They seem to always have weird
thing. And if you know where you got those shovels, I'd love to know, because it is hard to find quality shovels.
Yeah, and it's very hard to break them. Very hard. I mean, it did happen on the ice.
Someone
It did
trying
happen.
to.
But yeah, I believe it was either we usually order from Discount School Supply, so I believe it was them, or I could have ordered them Kaplan. I'll look and let you know.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Sarah, did you have many of your students here, do you think?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I can't tell. I think they will want to watch the recording. So
Okay.
You're going to post that on a YouTube channel and then post the recording link somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It will take a few days, but did I stop recording? Let me see.
It's still going.